Alright, this is a Grafton farmhouse on professional. Using this just to give a broad tutorial over a lot of the items and when people typically solo stuff. A lot of people tend to think things and misconstrue items or think they do something else when they really don't. I'm just here to try and clear up a little of the confusion, even if only two people see this and learn something. At least that's two more extra people learning something. So when you start right off the bat, typically want to bring a thermometer and an EMF if you're solo. Make sure to bring one. Thermometer isn't default, but it does help a lot. A lot of people typically don't realize you don't have to have your flashlight out to actually be using it. You can just hit T. As long as you have it on your person, you'll be fine. When you're clearing a house, typically always just hit V and just ask for any signs. See if you can find anything. I don't think you have to hit V to really talk because the game uses default Windows voice recognition. It should always be on, but it's a reflex for me at this point to hit V when I'm talking in game. And when you're solo, it doesn't really hurt. Show me a sign. Now, Grafton, I'll always check these little clauses because the ghost room can be typically any room. And even if you don't find anything, sometimes you can find a bone, which you can take a picture of with a photo camera. And you can pick the bone up after for extra money too, as bone evidence. Really just sweep every room with a thermometer first off. If you don't find anything, then you would start busted, do another sweep with EMF, see what you can find. Show me a sign. Nothing. Nothing. Keep an eye out for anything that could have been thrown. There's one right there. I'll come back with the picture camera with that. Show me a sign. And make sure you check out for stuff that could have been thrown. It's typically that's 8 degrees. Typically if something's thrown, there's an EMF presence. But if this is 9 degrees up here, I think it's in this hallway right here at the base of the steps. In this area, 9 degrees, 7. So this looks like it could be the area. When you think you found the area, you can typically drop your flashlight, not your flashlight, your thermometer and your EMF. You can just drop those right in where you think the area is, because you want to start bringing over more items in this case. So now I'm just gonna head back to the van. Stationary stuff you can set up is easier to bring out first. So like you can bring in the book because you just put that down and it'll work itself. No, crucifix. A lot of people don't understand what the crucifix does. They just hold it. Holding it in your hand like this, it means absolutely nothing. You have to have it down. So what the crucifix does is... Yeah, that's throwing stuff. What the crucifix does, I pop this down. Now within a 3 meters range around the crucifix, if a ghost tries to start a hunt within 3 meters, the crucifix will prevent it, and it'll do that twice. If you hold it in your hands, it does nothing. I've seen people like on a 4-man, one guy only holds the crucifix. Don't play with that guy. He's useless. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Holding the crucifix and walking around with it does nothing. You have to have it on the floor somewhere. UV lights for fingerprints in the spirit box. When you're alone, typically if you're checking for orbs and you know where the room is, you can typically do that after once you've narrowed it down with the other equipment, because with the book in there and the UV light, you have an EMF and a thermometer you have down, and you can bring the spirit box and everything after. I typically have everything right now. So that's a EMF 3 book writing. So this is the room. If I'm gonna EMF in that corner, I could possibly get some orbs over here, but never know. Keep that there. Try a spirit box session. Where are you? How old are you? What's your name? How did you die? When did you die? When you're spirit boxing, just add a broad spectrum of questions, literally anything. And that's the EMF going off again. You can keep the EMF on the ground. It'll just chill there. It will, like, if the ghost does decide to talk, he will just talk through it. You don't have to be holding it at all. Check for fingerprints on the steps. Footprints, anything. Yeah, it's chucking that can around. Now this would be a time where you could set up a camera. Make sure you have an empty spot for the camera though. So I'm getting EMF in that corner. So if you set up a camera for a ghost orb and you know the room, try and point the camera where you're getting EMF activity, because that is a good indication on where you may find orbs. Once you hit the level, always bring the tripod. Turn it on. Having the tripod just makes your life easier. Because you don't have to end up having to find little nooks and crannies to put your camera on and you hope you have a good angle. But the tripod, you just drop it and it'll point where you want it to point. You know. If I put a camera right there, most likely get something there. If I can check ghost orbs. Remember to keep your evidence down too. Don't want to forget anything. Now, if that's where I got the writing, I'll bet you anything that's where if there are orbs, I'll most likely find one. I'll most likely find them in there. But it does seem to roam a bit in this general downstairs area. Yeah, orbs right there. Not quite where I thought they'd be, but it's close enough. Now that you have 2 out of 3, typically you'd want to you go through your ghost types and it'll narrow it down a lot more. So I'm looking for a Shade or a Yuri, and you'd go through your book here, your journal. You can Yuri freezing temperatures, and this Shade gives off EMF 5. So I'm back to the basic equipment I have in there. Now that I know I don't need that. I'll bring a crucifix just in case, since I know where the locations are. But it's turning lights on down there now. So I'm getting a little more activity, because I definitely didn't turn that on. Oh, okay. I thought a hunt started, that was me. Probably end up being thermometer, but good. The temps dropped a bit. I don't know why it wants to turn all the lights on though. Probably trying to draw me further into the house. Anything in here? EMF wise? No. Temperature. And that's a 5 EMF. As soon as I heard something thrown, that was a 5 EMF. So that's how, and that's just a basic solo. And with just having more people, obviously you split up the tasks. That's a Shade. You split up the tasks so everyone has their own thing. It goes a lot quicker. But on solos, I just wanted to use a solo as a quick broad talk over. Salt you can use for tracking in between room to room if you find it more of a wandering ghost. Now this ghost didn't really wander too much, so I didn't have to use the salt. But that's that. You can always do the optional ones. I didn't bring any motion sensors. I didn't think it was gonna be this quick. Didn't bother bringing any. Typically solo you can bring motion sensors. There's one for sound sensors. Optional objectives are pretty easy to do. Now, capturing a photo of the ghost since you're alone, that is more of a gamble. I wouldn't typically try, but now that I know what it is and where it is, I'm going back for that bone because I'm just greedy. That's the piano. That's the piano again. Close that. It appeared in the hallway. I'm not even gonna. I could be getting ghost pictures right now, but I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of scary. Show me a sign. See if it'll appear again. I was going for the bone, so I didn't think of taking a picture. But it's only $10. You go for the bone, you can get bone evidence and a picture when you pick it up. So that's why I went back for that. But I really should have took a picture, but that was a 10. The crucifix, it tried to start a hunt. That's an instance, funny enough, where I'm pretty sure the crucifix stopped it from hunting, but it was still at a solid 10. It was trying to hunt. So that's why you bring crucifixes. Put them down. Don't have them in your hand. Don't be that guy. And now that you make sure you have it locked in, that's a shame. And you can just escape. That's how the tools basically work. It's not that hard. There's also pictures you can take. You can take pictures of the Ouija board. I didn't find one. And the voodoo dolls, they're scattered around the place. You can take pictures of those too. That's a shade. But it's really not that complicated. People overthink this game a lot.